Mogul podcast, where we discuss topics that will positively transform the way people live and lead in their communities. Here are your hosts, Walter Mendenhall and Dr. D.T. Shackelford.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm your host, Walter Mendenhall. We're here for another episode of the Male Mogul podcast. I have my co-host here, Dr. D.T. Shackelford.
Yeah.
And we actually have a guest, one of our original Male Mogul students, Jaurice Winston. So, Jaurice, how you doing today?
How you doing, man? Thank you for having me here today, man. Blessed to be here.
No problem, man. No problem at all. So first, I just want to get started, man, with some of the Male Mogul updates. First thing, a couple weeks ago, we had a pop-up that was basically planned and implemented by Jaurice, Keandre, and Keith, some of our Male Moguls, and it was just greatly successful, man. We sold a lot. It was some great participation. A lot of people came out. So, Jaurice, anything you want to say about that?
Yeah, man. I was just gonna say, yeah, that was a good time for us. I think planning that, it really helped us, like, get that extra push, because now we know we have the opportunity to showcase our talent and to help other people showcase theirs too.
Yeah.
So yeah, we was really just, thankful that everybody can get that exposure.
Most definitely. So it was not only Jaurice, but it was a group of young men who were able to showcase their brand. So I was grateful for the opportunity and just the platform to help those young men showcase their work.
Sure.
So and I think a lot of times, even just in this city, man, a lot of times we don't get a chance to showcase some of the good things and positive things that's going on.
100%.
So most definitely. So another thing that I would like for the Male Mogul update is that we're actually getting a chance to get back into the schools post-COVID. And last week we had a powerful session at DuSable High School led by Dr. Shack. And Dr. Shack, can you just give us an overview of kind of what happened during that time?
Yeah. It was, we always, and within Male Mogul, we talk a lot about global change agents, right? It's going beyond the boundaries of Chicago and seeing how can we change the mindset of young men like a Jaurice to think globally, right? To think beyond the border that society has placed on your mind, right? So for us, right, because I'm never teaching solo, right? There's always people that's pulling the curtains when you can't see it, right? If it's a person that's on the stage, you should probably research the individuals that's pulling the curtains, because they were important, right? And so for a class last week, it was basically how do we become global world change agents? And specifically for class, we started off with a letter to the world, literally called Dear World, right? And so the letter was basically, I wanted them to speak with their hand, right? Speak with the ink that's in their pen, right? And so it was so powerful to see their perspective and their angle, right? I always say that life is angles, right? How do you look at life controls how you are perceiving what you see. And so in the class session, they were able to write letters to the world. And who led class, right? Maybe I get the credit, but who really led class was one of our young participants who played a guitar, right? And Chicago, when I moved to Chicago, I noticed the influence that music had on this city, and specifically young black males, right? I mean, they go to different places when they put on music. And I was like, how can we interject this powerful influence into a classroom, right? And so one thing led to another, and we asked this young student, can you play the guitar, right? As they're reading the letters, and it set the entire atmosphere of a room, right? We talk about one of our values being faith, right? Well, from a biblical perspective, for our Bible readers out there, right? David, he soothes the soul of Saul with a harp, right? And so this young man is in class with a guitar, and he's soothing souls with this guitar. And I'm like,
he was playing it like a harp.
Man, he's playing it like a harp, right? And I'm like, man, if we only understood the power in our instrument, right? And maybe not everybody has the guitar, but you got you, right? And the first instrument is you, right? It's not David that played the harp. It's the spirit in David that played it, right? And so it was him playing the guitar, and it put the classroom on another level. They were able to think about how they were going to transform, right? Positively transforming. And that's something we live on. And for this classroom session, we were able to see this young man go to a different place while also seeing these other young men transform the lives of those who are around them. And it was such a powerful display of knowledge and wisdom. And it was to be in the moment, right? To be immersed into that moment was so powerful, because sometimes you don't know when that moment is going to come, right? You expect it, right? But you don't know how it's going to impact student 1 or student 2 or student 3. And for a young black man to be writing to the rhythm of a guitar player who is among them, such a powerful display in that classroom. And that doesn't happen alone. That is everybody working in synchronized together. I talked a little bit while we were on a break how Walt, the first 2 weeks, he spoke candidly about putting on boxing gloves, right? He looked like Walt, right? He radical too, right? So all right, he tried to put all the energy off on me, all right? So in class, he teaches with these boxing gloves on. I'm like, man, how crazy is he? What he does is he talks about how he goes through these boxing lessons and how the biggest enemy is the enemy.
Yeah.
Right? The enemy is really the enemy.
Yeah.
Right? So you going through these rounds and you boom, 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 30 seconds, boom, 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 30 seconds, boom, 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 boom. And the real match is you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm getting them to do in class on the next session, except now the boxing glove has now become a pen.
Yeah.
Right? And so boom, boom, boom. Give me another 30 seconds. Right. You got one more time. Right. I always say this quote, just a minute, only 60 seconds in it. Forced upon me. I can't refuse it. I didn't seek it. I didn't choose it. But it's up to me to use it. I must suffer if I lose it, give an account if I abuse it. It's only just a minute, but eternity is in it. I think what Walt showed with those first 2 class sessions was the power of using your minute correctly. And then he planted, I watered, but God ultimately got the increase.
Most definitely, man. What stood out to me was the willingness for them to write. I think a lot of times there's these perceptions that black kids, specifically black men, don't want to learn. And what I saw was young men wanting to learn, wanting to write, wanting to express themselves, and eager to share and encourage and uplift one another. And I just think the atmosphere set that place of transparency and like authenticity in which they could be vulnerable with one another and be vulnerable, you know, in a space and an environment in a city where, you know, it's count as I guess you can say, a strike against you if you are perceived as vulnerable. So I was just impressed by just the willingness of them to share the great just content that they wrote. The content was just profound.
My goodness.
It was profound. And even the encouragement of one another.
Yes.
I think we really put a atmosphere and just a culture of just like camaraderie, even with people that know each other and people that don't know each other. Right. They're now like a football team.
It's like it's that same exact way. And when you have that culture, it doesn't just come out in the pen. It comes out in the form of a security bag sweatshirt. Yeah. Right? It comes out in the form of a young Jaurice feeling like he can take on the world with his clothing brand, right? That culture, it bleeds into other industries, right? Yeah. But only thing we're doing is we're empowering them. We're affirming 100%. Them of what they are. I didn't put the gift of creating ideas into Jaurice's head, or neither did you. Yeah. Only thing we did was created the opportunity 100%. And they took full advantage of it. So that is what gives me joy, right? To know that I didn't do what people seeing may think I did do. No, it's them with the real power. It's them with the real power in their pen. Definitely. We're just there as black males to say, hey, you can do this. You're powerful. You are more than enough. 100%. And for them, that's the inspiration that they need to put their pen on paper and say, let's dear world, let's change it. Yeah. So
most definitely, man. So I want to get into this interview with Jaurice, man. Jaurice has been somebody that I've known for a few years now, ever since he was a sophomore in high school.
Yeah.
And now you're a sophomore in college,
Yeah.
correct? So about 4 or 5 years, I've just had Jaurice, and just to see his growth, just to see him as a leader, not only, in the classroom, but in his community, has just been something that, it's been a joy and it's been motivating. And I don't know if Jaurice knows this, but like, you know, he's been some of the times where I just wanted to quit. Like he was like, man, there's a Jaurice out there. So let me just continue to keep going. So I just kind of want to get into Jaurice's story. Jaurice is from the west side of Chicago, the Austin community. Austin has been instrumental in my life because this is actually where I got the chance to start the Male Mogul and to grow the Male Mogul, and just to, you know, there's a perception of Austin as, if you look at the statistics, the most dangerous community in Chicago, the most, with the most murders and the most shootings. But during my time there, man, I just saw some of the just greatest young minds that I've ever seen across this city. And I've been to the north side, south side suburbs doing work. But just some of the young men in that community have just been some of the brightest, most innovative young men that I've seen. So first thing, Jaurice, man, I just kind of want to just get into your background, man, just how you grew up, a little bit about your mom, your dad, your grandma, sisters, and just kind of just a little bit about your family dynamic.
Yeah, man. So I really grew up in a single parent household.
Okay.
My dad wasn't really around like after my early ages of my childhood.
Gotcha.
So going into like my teen years, I would say it was just always just me, my mom, and my little sister, and my grandmother.
Gotcha. And your grandmother lived in the same building?
Yeah, in the same building.
Okay.
In the same building, man. Yep.
Most definitely, most definitely. So I just kind of want to know, man, what's it like growing up in Austin, man, on the west side of Chicago? Just some of the things that you have to deal with, and what is it like, just a real perspective of growing up
Man.
as a young man in this day and age?
Oh man, I would say it's really fast paced.
Yeah.
I would say everything is really fast. Like you grow fast, you learn fast, you learn to think fast, and you learn to like react fast. So I would say just being in that fast paced lifestyle, it just make you like, sometimes you don't realize what you're doing until you do it. So then we got to deal with the repercussions of that. You realize like how that affected you as a person and how you can grow from it. So yeah, I would say just really just like, besides the violence, it's talent all over the Austin community, and I can have people that vouch for that. But it's like, the things that you may be faced with, the circumstances that you may be faced with every day, is like you gotta have that survival instinct. So yeah, I would say just, yeah, anybody in the Austin community, they can definitely relate to that, because I mean it's been countless actions that's been displayed that nobody's paid attention to. But yeah, I think like really when you really get the insight of it, you can really tell like it's different. It's real different.
Most definitely, man. So, some of the things, can you name like kind of some of the things that makes you grow up quick in that community?
Yeah, man. So it's like, those traumatic experiences, whether it's like, losing a friend that you known, getting yourself into like situations like when you out in public places, like, man, you even got domestic, domestic problems that's going on, people that don't have, the right relationships built with their family. So you got broken homes that's ongoing. Yeah, man.
So what I'm hearing is just a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
Whether it's environmental trauma, whether it's gangs or drugs or shootings or murders. I hear that, and just correct me if I'm wrong, because I just kind of just want to make sure that people who don't know, get an understanding of kind of this community. And like you said, you see a lot of potential, but because of the environment that they're in, and sometimes you have to make decisions, as a 12, 11-year-old that sometimes 20, 24, 30-year-olds are making. So it's forcing you to grow up quick, and not necessarily you don't have the guidance or the, influences that can help keep you on the right path.
Yeah.
So what I want to know is that, what kept you, on the right path? I know sometimes you might have wavered, or, you've been kind of on that right path in spite of your environment, in spite of your friends. So what kept you on that growing up?
I would say mostly I gotta say my mom, man. Like she's a strong woman. I think like watching her persevere through the struggles that that she had to deal with. I think it really like it taught me how to be not just only one dimensional. Like I can be able to help other people out while I'm helping myself out. So it's like just seeing her going through the things she went through. It just it reminds me that anybody can have a situation that they dealing with. You just gotta have that perseverance, man.
Most definitely, most definitely. I like that, man. I like that. One thing that I've noticed about you, Jaurice, and just observing you through your high school years is that even though you're not in that life, some of the young people that are in that life look to you as a motivation. Like you are truly a leader in your community, and you are a leader that's trying to put people on the right path as opposed to the negative path.
Yeah.
So I just want to know kind of how you do that, or how is that possible that people look up to you, and it's not necessarily that you toting guns or selling drugs, like you doing the right thing and people are following you. How does that happen?
I mean, the main thing that they recognize, and I always say this, is that I never give up.
Mm.
My desire to to achieve success and be a pillar to my community. I think that's really motivated the people around me. That's what's caused people to like pay attention and really want to have that insight and want to know what I'm doing and just keep going on that positive road, man. I just never like anytime I've hit an obstacle in my life, it's never been just that. Like, and you told me that, like, you was like, life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you respond to it. I've always kept that mindset, and I always will keep that mentality, man. So it's just been that, seeing people seeing me, just taking whatever opportunity I have and just creating the most of it, making the most of it. Yeah, it's just that, man.
Most definitely. I like that. I like that. I like that. So I remember you, freshman, after your freshman year, sophomore year, you were actually in my first cohort at Circle Urban Ministries of the, Male Mogul Initiative. And first, I just want to know, man, what made you, kind of get interested in the Male Mogul Initiative, and what kept you staying and continue to be a part of it in spite of all the things that you were doing, playing basketball, transferring schools, doing, a lot, being regular.
Yeah. I would say, really with the Male Mogul, I would say it was like a bit of a surprise, but it wasn't. Because, I mean, of course, I already know like what I wanted to. I wanted to be productive with my summer,
Yeah.
but I didn't know like what was the best way to do that. Like I didn't know of programs like Male Mogul. I didn't know of all of these mentorships. So it's like I had to really like dive into the after school matters, and I had to like pick what interests me the most. And I guess Male Mogul was top of the list. And it was around the corner from my house, man.
Cool.
So it's like when you can walk literally 30 steps from your house, it's like it's really a positive. It's a addition to your life, man.
Most definitely. So, what I want to know, just through that first cohort and just as you continued and you got people to come and join that was in your school, like what kept you coming back? Because there's been a lot of people that started, when you started, but they're not in the Male Mogul currently. So, what kept you keep coming back?
I would say basically it was like more of a repetition thing. Just like basketball, like the more you practice, the more you fall in love with the process, the more you want to go to those, games, the more you want to perform better. So I would say just being in those lessons, learning more every day. That I was learning more in Male Mogul than I was in school.
Yeah.
So it's like it had more of an impact on me than school or basketball did because I was actually genuinely interested in it. I actually developed a passion for it. So it was like, that just kept me, coming back, just wanting to learn more, soak in the information, wanting to help other people and give them also the same information that I'm getting. So, I would say, mostly just that repetition of coming every day.
So first, I'd also too like to talk about your clothing brand and how you came up with Secure the Bag. I know you had a lot of different other ideas, and some of them didn't work out. And I just kind of want to know like what kept you to keep like, okay, I thought this was it, but this wasn't it. Let me try something else, as opposed to a lot of the young people just like, oh, it didn't work, I'm gonna quit, or I'm not gonna put a lot into it. What kept you persevering even though you had unsuccessful businesses?
I would say I had to really like see what was really I made my errors the first time, and I had to like reassess how I approached like my business plans. Like I had to, change my mindset of just thinking like, okay, is this a product that people just go consume because they like it or because they actually support me? So it's like when I made Secure the Bag, it was like I'm relating to people how I relate to myself. Like, I'm always wanting to take the most of my opportunities. I'm always wanting to I'm always looking to grow. So it was just like that motto, man, it stuck with me. So it was like when I developed the brand, it was kind of like easy to come up with like the motto of it. It was easy to come up with the phrase. So it was like, yeah.
I would like to interject too, and this is something that I feel like our viewers would want to know too, right? Being from the west side of Chicago, it's something you said earlier that really intrigued me. It was the instinct of survival, right? But Secure the Bag is a visionary concept, right? How are you immersed into an environment where you have to have the instinct of survival, which is basically living in the moment? How do you take yourself mentally out of that and dream further, right? Like, how do you do that?
I would say, yeah, that's actually a good question, man. I would say just it would have to be like something like you have within yourself. Like you have to know that you have the power and the opportunity to do it. You have to believe in yourself first, and then that's when other people will start to believe in you. Because I mean, in my neighborhood, all the people who was trying to create something or start a business, that's the ones who got acknowledged. So I mean, when people see me, it's not only it's not only that they know I have a survival instinct, but they know that I'm trying to change myself and change my community too. So that desire to do that will actually change how other people approach you. Like I'm not trying to sell drugs. I'm not trying to take another life to somebody's family. I'm trying to teach people how to actually bring capital to their family. I'm trying to teach people how to grow themselves, like how to think different. So it's like when I'm in my community, it's like I don't really have to have a survival instinct anymore, but I still have to stay on point enough to where the point I can't, get myself in certain situations. Yeah.
I think the world of this guy, and as Walt said earlier, he met him first, right? I mean, he was kind of like at the genesis of what Male Mogul is now, man. And we've had car rides, right?
Yeah.
We've had moments where I've had moments in the car with this guy where I've literally been mute, and he's been teaching me on how to reach the next generation. So I just want to tell you, publicly that, man, I'm so grateful what you bring. While also coming from environments where it's expected to not create a brand, right? So I just think this man you're a world changer. That's literally what you are. You're a world changer. And for anybody listening to him speak, I mean, I'm like here mesmerized. I'm like, can you keep going, man? Like, I love your knowledge and your wisdom and what you bring, man. And there goes the chills, man. So you're a powerful, powerful young man, and keep dreaming, keep inspiring, man, because it's inspirational for me and Walt, right? To be the root of something and then to see the fruit is a testimony to what you are doing in your community. So it's powerful, man.
So one thing I want to ask too, because I think a lot of times people think it's easy to do what you're doing, but it comes with sacrifice, man. I know you had to sacrifice stuff. I know you had to sacrifice maybe friends. I know you had to sacrifice maybe, whether it's going out to certain places or being in certain places or chilling with people. So what were some of the things that you had to sacrifice in order to get to where you want to get to?
Yeah, man, I would say the first thing you said is my social life. So it's like when I realized I had to make a sacrifice, my social life was probably at the top of that list, because that was probably what was consuming my life the most, that I knew that wasn't like it wasn't like always necessary for me to be social. Like, being a businessman, you'll have to be social. I mean, of course, but you don't have to always, go out to, the where it's trending at or where everybody wants to go, man.
So what usually happens in Chicago?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And everybody don't know that. It's like,
so what's the trend actually for people who don't know it? DT may not know because he's not from Chicago. Like, explain that and like those things and kind of usually what happens when those things happen.
Yeah. So man, when somebody trends something in Chicago, it's usually always created on social media. someone, a popular person on social media posts a place, and they get to sharing it. So when that happens, you imagine all the teenagers in Chicago in one place. In one place. So that's where the violence comes in, that because first of all, you don't know who's going to be there. Second of all, you don't know what to expect when you get there. And third of all, like, you don't know if you're going to make it back home or not. And that's usually some of the results that comes from these trends. So I just try to make it like always a top plan where I just, I don't have to go to this trend. I don't have to always, go out to these places like that, man.
I think it's something that we talk about, risk versus reward, right?
Yeah, exactly. Risk
is the risk really worth the reward?
Yeah.
Is being in the spot where everybody at worth potentially losing my life?
Yeah, exactly.
And understanding that your life is a business, man, especially when you're in a city like Chicago. Like, you really have to make those decisions.
Exactly.
And you really have to think here, because sometimes emotionally or something, like, you may want to go. But you got to have the discipline enough and even the foresight or vision enough. It's like, is it really worth, going to this for the potential that what could happen? So that's a big thing, man, especially at a person like your age, man, like social life and going out and doing that. That is a big sacrifice. And it's something that if I was your age, I don't know if I would be able to do.
Oh my goodness. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, so it's very inspirational, man. I watched a group of old heads one time play chess, Walt. And I go to a coffee shop, right, and they set up. This is something that I've also been able to observe in Chicago. Chess is big here, right? They playing chess on the corner. They playing chess is everywhere. But I asked an old man one time, what are the primaries and for me to study this game, what do I need to know? And he said 3, and Walt, you listed one of them. He said insight, hindsight, and foresight. Right?
Say that again. Say that. I like that.
Yeah, there's an older gentleman, the wisdom,
I actually gonna write that down.
Yeah.
I like that.
So he says, to play a chess game, the greatest chess players that has ever played, they've had insight, right, and knowledge of the game. They've had hindsight, which usually means they've studied what's in their rear view. Not that they live in it, but they study what has happened, right? It's what Jaurice called he looked at a product, maybe it isn't working as good as he thought, so he reassessed the situation. Only way you can do that is through hindsight. You're looking back on what you didn't do as great at. Yeah. And then foresight keeps you from going to the social places where there's a potential for my character, right, to be diluted, right, or for my future to be decapitated, right? So insight, hindsight, and foresight is what I see Jaurice as, right? You have so much wisdom at a young age, which is insight. Hindsight, you've studied what you have done, and I think you have enough wisdom to say, I know where I'm going, right? So you have enough vision to get there. So that is what I'm hearing here, and Walt said the word foresight, but that's what it made me think of, and it's almost as if Jaurice is at the chess table, right? And he's like, okay, I'm considering all 3. They're coming together in order for me to make my next move. And so, young man, you are doing a powerful job at that, man. You are taking the wisdom that I heard from an older man at a chess game, and you are applying it. The Bible say the word became flesh and it dwelled among us. That's what you're doing, man. So powerful.
So I want to kind of get into, some of your opinions. And I know that the mayor has a solution for the violence. Me and DT may have some ideas, but a lot of times they don't talk to the people that's actually in it. You know what I'm saying? And actually, that age and that where a lot of the, problems and a lot of the violence and a lot of the killings, kind of in that age group. And I just want to hear your perspective and just, kind of what your thoughts are. I know that you don't have all the solutions in the world, but I just kind of want to know from your perspective, what do you think is, especially among youth, like the violence, like what does that stem from if you don't? And maybe you could just talk about your particular neighborhood and it may be relevant to the greater Chicago, but what do you think stems the youth violence in Chicago and even particularly in your neighborhood?
I would say first it's the homes, man. So whatever's happening in the homes, like that's go directly deflect off that person. Like if they going through something at home, you will most likely be able to tell, or they'll tell you if they comfortable enough to share that with you. But besides that, it's like but when you it's like when you first turn at like around 14 or 15. It's like you don't really know like what you want to do with your life yet, and still getting it to like 18 or 19, you don't know. So in those youth ages, it's like you don't know your purpose yet. So that causes you to distract yourself with pleasure. So when you and then it's like when you getting that pleasure, it don't always turn out to be that way. Some of that pleasure can be your downfall or something you can learn from. So it's like I would say just like that the experiences before they actually get to know like what they want to do or what they capable of. It's like it's like the youth not have any guidance, and it's like to the point where they don't know where to get that guidance from. So I think that we just need more guidance, man. We need more insight. We need more things that can help like young people develop like a peace of mind. Like they just need to have a space or a activity where they can just be free of themselves, where they can just be able to impact other people while they impacting themselves too.
Most definitely. So what I'm hearing is that we need to be preventative and not reactive.
Yeah.
So necessarily the answer is not more police.
Yeah.
The answer is not necessarily locking more people up and putting them in jail longer. It's really before they get into that, really preventative programs for young people, helping them to navigate basically the world.
Yeah.
And also too, what I'm hearing is discipline.
Yeah.
Discipline in which, and I think when we say discipline, like it's such a bad word, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
People think negatively, but it's just that sometimes we have to withhold the instant gratification to think about, the future. And it's like playing football, right? Yeah. It's like, we prepare all this time all week for 4 hours. And sometimes people just want the pleasure of the game, but they don't want to put the work in order to get to that.
Yeah, Walt, I think it's also too being 1st and 10 and being okay with getting 4 yards on first down, right? Not feeling like I got to get the Hail Mary every play.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because I think when you get to youth organizations, we think more quantity than we do quality, right? And so we shooting for numbers. And for the pursuit of numbers, we lose souls, literally, because we're thinking that if I have 300 people in a building, I'm successful. Well, maybe you're not, right? I think what you've done a great job at leading Male Mogul is you maximize on the quality that's in front of you. And I don't think you judge your success based off quantity. It's quality that you're shooting after. And I think when you think quality, you get a Jaurice, right? That you can stay with him since he was younger because you're not after numbers, right? If numbers come and if that's what God graces the organization with, then that's powerful. Then ultimately you won't grow, right? But I think growth comes from within first, not from without. And I think that is such a powerful thing that I'm hearing even from a Jaurice. I think your pursuit is not quantity. And I think that that's something that we should be sharing amongst leaders, right? Because I think in a place that's so fast paced, I think it's so easy to put the most amount of money into the biggest organization and say, go get numbers. No, Jesus got 12 and said, let's go to work. Right? And so if you keep that mentality, I think you won't miss the Jaurices, you won't miss the Dre's, you won't miss the Keefs, because you won't be after what looks good. For we walk by faith and not by sight. So I think that was what I'm hearing, Walt. Like what you've been able to do, I think you maximize on quality.
Yeah. But I think too, there's this catch-22 because you have, maybe what works and then what gets funded.
Well, then,
No, it's
I think that's the dilemma.
No, that's the dilemma with a lot of people in which, they do all this wide and not getting deep because, the things that we do are, if you ain't have 300 people, then you're not getting this. Or it's even in schools, it's like these kids don't have this test score, then your pay gets cut or you get fired. So I think there's this, kind of, I don't know what the word is, but just like this kind of balancing act between, what I need to get funded and what really works.
Yeah. Well, how do you stay authentic?
Mm.
How do you keep the culture of Mel Mogul authentic?
To be honest with you, man, it's God. And a lot of times, like especially with the bigger organizations, it's not God-centered. So I have enough faith to go off my convictions.
Wow.
And what I feel led to do. And I know that there would be provision. But if I'm a, CEO and I'm getting these government contracts and this and that, then I have to do certain things. So it's dependent, like, too. It's just like where your fruit is coming from, too. Where your funds is coming from. Because if you take certain amounts of money, you're gonna have to hold certain types of standards.
Yeah.
So it's real, man. It's a real thing.
I think this is something that the viewers will really want to understand, specifically in a Chicago where there are so much going on, right? So how do I rise and marry that with authenticity? It's tough to do, and I think Jaurice is a testimony of how you can do it. Yeah, right. It takes time, but I think once you maximize on the Jaurice, how many does he touch? Yeah. Right? How many does he inspire to create a clothing brand or inspire to come up out of the west side of Chicago? So
100%. Yeah. Or how many he inspired just to join the Mel Mogul Initiative.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Or something like it. Yeah. Most definitely. So what I'm hearing, like you said, is like, and you talk about the homes and you talking about, so what I hear from that is love. Yeah. I think a lot of kids don't have love. Yeah. Or they don't feel love. So if I don't feel love and I have hatred in my heart, and if I have hatred in my heart, I'm going to express that to the other person. Now you're in environments like I'm in Austin or the West Side or, certain places in certain parts of the city. Now I have access to guns. Now I have access to drugs. Now I have access to fake love, which is these gangs that are out here and these things. Now I want to be affirmed. So in order to be affirmed, I got to rap about somebody else. Wow. And get liked so I can feel that I'm being affirmed. But what's the risk to that? It's murder. How many? Wow. It's having to have a gun on me because I don't know who is who. It's I'm into it with the people that live across the street from me. Wow. And now that's where all this stuff happens, man. And that's where all this violence happens. And it really, like you said, starts in the home. It starts with love. So if I'm not getting love, where else can I get love? And I think, what was powerful, even about last week, it was love there. And I think we created, because even what the young man was saying is like, even if I don't know you, I have, I'm there for you. That's love.
Yeah. That's love.
Yeah. That's love.
Yeah. That's love.
And I think we think of love as like, this like gushy feeling and it's really not that, man. It's just really just I care about you strongly and I want to see your success as much as I want to see my own. I don't mean I don't have to, talk to you all the time or do this or do that. Even, we play football. You may not talk to somebody for 10 years and you go to the 5-year reunion and it's like you never left.
And you never left.
And that you would do anything, even if I ain't talked to you in 5 years. That's love.
That is love. That is love. Yeah. I think you are extremely correct. And I think they feel it. Yeah. Right? And I love their vision because their vision is so real, right? When they see you, they like, what are you doing to my community? What are you doing to my family? Like, they really are going to really look at what you're doing and your goals and your aspirations, and they're going to see if they're wrapped in love or if they're wrapped in phony. Yeah. They'll know it.
Yeah, most definitely, man. So, Jaurice, man, what do you think are some of the solutions to curb some of the things that are happening, in this city and specifically in your community, man? What are some solutions that you think?
I mean, obviously, the city is putting out, more things that they think can, get that insight with the youth, get that support from the youth. But I think, like what you said, man, it just has to be genuine love with whatever they decide to create or whatever, somebody decides to create for the youth. It got to be genuine. That's the only thing. Like, and just hearing like from the kids that go through this type of stuff every day, they just need somebody who they can count on. That they don't gotta question your loyalty. They don't have to question your compassion about some things. So it's like when you first started Male Mogul, like you notice like when the people who kept coming, like me, Cam, and all of us,
Steve, all them,
yeah, you notice how we kept coming because we genuinely like put our trust in you. We genuinely trusted you, and that's because you put that trust into us. Like you believe, oh, I could take these kids public places and get them exposure. And trust them to represent the Male Mogul. I can get these kids, like So it's like when you get that genuine love, man, it's like really there's really nothing that can come between that. And it's really that can't break that connection, man.
Yeah, most definitely, man. I think, like you said, bringing exposure, I think bringing opportunity and instilling trust, and what ways in which I was able to do that, with you guys is the trust factor is just showing up, being consistent.
Yep.
Understanding the problems and offering solutions. And really it's time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's time.
Yeah.
I think time is very important, and consistency. And I think that's where a lot of people mess up at. It's hard to be consistent.
Especially in the social media culture.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of instant gratification. It's a lot of microwaves, not a lot of crock pots.
Most definitely.
Feel me? So I think what you have become and you've allowed for Male Mogul to become is a crock pot, right? And it's like no rush, right? Okay, I got them. It's a rush, but it's rush within the constraints of time, right? And I think once you do that, man, you really produce an environment of love, right? You said the foundation is God. Well, God is love.
Yeah.
So.
And I think too, man, to be honest with you, and it could be controversial, but I think just how we've been able to even instill trust so quickly at DuSable is that we're in the community.
Yes.
That we have a store right here. You can see us. I live right there on 35th and King Drive, DT right down the street on 81st and whatever. Like we here, like, and we could be anywhere in the world. We could be in the suburbs. We could be, somewhere. We choose to be here. You got a PhD.
Yeah. I think, Walt, to feel the doctor, it's different than speaking to the doctor.
What do you mean by that?
I believe that sometimes a young Jaurice can't feel a PhD. They keep telling him he can become something that he's never felt. How can I become the lawyer and I've never felt one? And so you inspire me with empty words. Is what Solomon calls absolute futility. I can't. The woman with the issue of blood, she touched her. And for Jaurice to touch a Walter Mendenhall or a leader in the community instead of getting on the phone or emailing and you're not giving him any personal touch, I think what you give Jaurice and you give Cam and you give Keith is the touch. And when you give them that touch, they say, wow, I can do it. He's not just emailing me. Or after basketball session is over at 7:30, he ain't telling me to get on the bus. He taking me home, right? He can feel me, right? Like he meets my wife. And I think those things is allowing for a Jaurice to see it, not just listen to it, not just emailing it. We got an email system that's going crazy right now. And now I got to wait 5 days to get inspired by my leader. Instead of saying, hey, can I touch you? Can I touch your situation? Can I touch your inspiration? And I think that's also that marries authenticity, right? To be touched.
And I even just to piggyback off that, I think sometimes they need to see a doctor with dreads and a beard. They need to see a successful business person that lives in their community and that can give them resources. And not just talk it, but just actually be able to do it.
To do it. I want to see
that's
it.
trust.
I want to see it.
Yeah. Most definitely. Most definitely. Yeah. So with that, man, I just want to, as we conclude, I just want to kind of talk more just about your brand. What do you see about your brand? How can people get in contact and purchase some of your stuff, and kind of what you see the future of Secure the Bag and even your future in general, as far as with school and all the other things that you want to do?
Yeah, man. It's when I started Secure the Bag in 2018. my goal was basically just to get everybody else to secure the bag. I feel like that message was very powerful at the time, because especially considering that everybody was starting, their own brands. I feel like that motto is what that is what differentiated me from all the other people who was doing what I was doing. And as far as my desires and plans for it, I mean, it's just to grow it as much as I can. And the more I grow, the more the message is gonna spread. And I feel like I can be very versatile with my brand also. Yeah. And that's what gives me like that creative motive. Like secure the bag is really a lifestyle. So it doesn't even have to be a clothing brand. It can be a lifestyle. Exactly. It can be a network for people who want to do entrepreneurship online, digital entrepreneurship, cryptocurrency. It could be like an insight for people who want to like just basically want to bring more capital to their business. So
most definitely, most definitely. And then just tell a little bit about what you're doing now, what you plan to do, like far as school wise and everything else.
Right now, I'm my sophomore year. I'm studying my business financial at Harold Washington. So about to go ahead and get that associates, man. After that, I'm going ahead and get on my road to get that BBA, man.
That's what's up.
That's what I want to. That's what I want to do, man. Get that BBA.
I love it. I love it. I love it, man. So I appreciate you, Jaurice, man. I appreciate the man that you are. I appreciate, what you've been able to accomplish. I appreciate, your commitment to the Male Mogul. You've been an inspiration to me, been an inspiration to DT. As much as you learned from me, I've learned from you. So I'm just greatly, greatly appreciative for you coming out today.
Oh, man, thank you for having me, man. Like I said, like it always starts with a little thing. Like DT said, you can pretend like you care, but you can't pretend to show up, man.
Most definitely. So yeah, most definitely. DT, you got any last words?
Man, I've sit at the feet of Jaurice today. Man, I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for how you are touching this generation. And like Walt said, man, it's inspiring us to see somebody like you to take on the world with so much boldness, so much tenacity, so much strength to give power to this generation, because it's not easy. And some days it is easier to lay down and quit, right? Sometimes that route makes sense. Yeah. And for you to consistently get up and go against culture, or what we call counterculture, it's so powerful, man. So continue to secure the bag, continue to inspire the world, man, and you're going to go very far. And you're going to be employing a lot of people one day. So keep going, man, and we are so grateful for you.
Oh, yeah. Appreciate you, man. Appreciate you.
All right, till next time, this is the Male Mogul Podcast. Always, you can catch us on YouTube. You can catch us on all streaming platforms. Also go to our website, malemogulinitiative.org. We have an e-commerce site. We have all the updates of what we're doing. And definitely you can purchase some products at our store, which is located at 330 East 51st Street, Chicago, Illinois. And you can also purchase some Secure the Bag at our store and online. So until next time, we appreciate you listening and stay tuned for more.